In many missing person cases, there is a final moment when someone simply disappears. A last sighting, a last message, a final known location. But in some cases, the person does not vanish quietly. Sometimes, someone hears the exact moment when everything goes wrong. In May of 2008, a young man named Brandon Swanson was on the phone with his father late at night, trying to find his way home. Then, in the middle of their conversation, something unexpected happened. And after that moment, Brandon was never heard from again. On the night Brandon disappeared, he was not alone. He stayed on the phone with his father for nearly an hour while walking through dark farmland, trying to reach the road. Everything sounded calm. Nothing seemed wrong. Then, without warning, the call suddenly ended. There was no explanation, no clear reason, just silence. That was the last time anyone ever heard from Brandon Swanson. Brandon Swanson was a 19-year-old college student living in Minnesota. In the spring of 2008, he had just finished his first year at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. Friends and family described him as friendly, responsible, and easygoing. He was close to his parents and had no history of trouble. On the night of May 13, 2008, Brandon attended a small gathering with friends to celebrate the end of the school year. It was a normal night. There were no arguments, no unusual behavior, and nothing that suggested anything was wrong. Around midnight, Brandon decided to drive home. The trip should have taken him about 30 minutes, but he never made it. Around 1:45 in the morning on May 14th, Brandon called his parents. He told them he had accidentally driven into a ditch on a gravel road. He was not hurt, and he did not sound panicked. He believed he was near the town of Lind, Minnesota, which was close to his home. Since the car could not be driven, he decided to walk while his parents came to pick him up. They got into their truck and headed toward the area he described. Brandon stayed on the phone with his father the entire time. As Brandon walked, he used distant lights and passing cars as reference points. He tried to guide his parents to his location, but something was not right. His parents drove around the roads near Lind, flashing their headlights and honking the horn, but Brandon said he could not see them. They drove back and forth for nearly an hour trying to find him. Meanwhile, Brandon kept walking through the darkness, calmly talking to his father. At one point, he mentioned hearing running water nearby. He believed he was close to a road. Then, sometime around 2:30 in the morning, the call suddenly ended. His father tried to call back. There was no answer. That was the last contact anyone ever had with Brandon. At first, his parents thought the phone had simply lost signal, but when he did not answer repeated calls, they became worried. They contacted the police early that morning. Authorities began searching the area Brandon believed he was in, but they could not find his car. Not near Lind, not on the roads he had described. Later that day, police finally located Brandon's vehicle, but it was not where he thought it was. The car was found near the town of Taunton, Minnesota. It was about 25 miles away from where Brandon believed he had crashed. In the darkness, he had completely misjudged his location. This meant that while his parents were searching near Lind, Brandon was walking alone in a completely different area. Search teams began focusing on the farmland near the car. Near the area where Brandon's car was found, searchers discovered a small river and several drainage ditches. Investigators believed that while walking through the dark fields, Brandon may have accidentally fallen into the water. This could explain why the call ended so suddenly. But there was a problem. Despite large-scale searches involving helicopters, tracking dogs, and hundreds of volunteers, no trace of Brandon was ever found. No body, no clothing, no phone, nothing. Over the years, several theories have been suggested. The most widely accepted theory is that Brandon fell into a river or drainage ditch in the dark. The terrain in the area included deep ditches, tall grass, mud, and water channels. In total darkness, it would have been easy to misstep. Another theory suggests that he may have fallen, injured himself, and wandered into another area where he died from exposure. That night, temperatures dropped into the low 40 degrees Fahrenheit, or around 5 to 7 degrees Celsius. Cold, wet, and possibly injured, he may not have survived long. Some people have suggested the possibility of foul play, but investigators have never found any evidence to support that theory. There were no signs of a struggle, no suspicious vehicles, and no reports of unusual activity. In 2013, 5 years after his disappearance, Brandon Swanson was officially declared legally dead, but his case remains unsolved. His parents have continued searching for answers for more than a decade. His disappearance also led to a change in the law. Minnesota passed what became known as Brandon's Law. This law requires police to begin missing person searches immediately, even for adults, without any waiting period. So, even though Brandon was never found, his case helped change the system and may have saved other lives. Sometimes the most frightening mysteries do not involve violence or crime. Sometimes it's just a simple wrong turn, a missed landmark, a dark road in the middle of nowhere. Brandon was not running from anyone. He was not in danger, at least at first. He was simply trying to walk home. But somewhere between that phone call and the next step he took into the darkness, something went wrong. And since that night in May of 2008, no one has ever seen him again.